Instagram is and will continue to be the place to be in 2025. So in today's video, I'm going to walk you through step by step how to create a high converting Instagram ads campaign. All right, really quick before I get into sharing my screen and building this campaign for you, the one quick disclaimer I want to say is that I am not one of those people that thinks that Facebook is dead and you should only run Instagram ads. That's actually not the case at all. The vast majority of time, I am running campaigns for my clients on both platforms, both Facebook and Instagram. We still see great results on Facebook, even though it's kind of often associated for an older demographic. But guess what? The older demographic is the one that has money. So don't take the video as me saying, hey, just forget Facebook, focus on Instagram. I'm only doing this because in some cases, for some businesses, it does make sense to run a strict Instagram ads campaign. So that is who I'm catering to. All right, without further ado, let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, as always, we go ahead and click that create button. And in this example, I'm going to be doing a lead campaign. The steps will be 95% the same if I would do a sales campaign. I will point out where the difference would be. But let's go ahead and hit that leads button, click continue. And then I like to go with the manual setup. The recommended settings are less than ideal, shall I say. So here it is at the campaign level. Oftentimes, although not always, it will automatically select Advantage Campaign Budget Plus. That's where it puts the budget at the campaign level as opposed to the ad set level. You only really need to do that if you're spending a lot of money per day. I would say $500 or more per day. If not, I think it's actually not a benefit to have that enabled. So I would say for most people, in most cases, you can go ahead and turn that off and have it enabled at the ad set level. And then other than that, there's actually nothing else you need to do at the campaign level other than naming the campaign. So I've talked about my naming conventions before on this, but I'll recover them right here simply because ad account organization is extremely important. Even if you're running your own ads for yourself, that might not be the case forever and ever. You might hire someone internally. You might work with an agency like myself. And so if that is the case at some point in the future, you want to have good organized naming structures. That way, when someone steps in, they know what's going on. So at the campaign level, I always start with the name of the objection we're using, right? So we're using leads, so I start with leads. If I was using sales, this would be saying sales. If this was video views, that would say video views. So no matter the objective, I start off with that. Then I say what it is that we are running ads to. In this case, this is going to be for a free masterclass I'm doing, and it's the year 2025. So I'm just put 2025 masterclass. If I was running this to my mini course, I would say mini course. If I was running this to a lead magnet, I would have the name of the lead magnet. So 10 tips, lead magnet, all that kind of stuff, right? So just make it very clear what it is that you are running ads to. Then mention the geographies that you are running this to. So I will do this to USA and Canada for now. If I was doing USA, Canada, Australia, I would add AU in there. If I was also including the UK, I would add UK in there, all that kind of stuff. If I was doing worldwide, I would say worldwide. So again, just kind of keep it simple and no need to overcomplicate this at all. And then lastly, I'm going to mention the type of traffic I am running this to. This is going to be going to cold traffic. If this was going strictly to warm traffic, I would say that. Or if this campaign was going to be going to both, as is often the case, I would say cold and warm traffic. But in this case, I know for a fact that actually I'm only strictly going to go do this to cold traffic. So I will keep it labeled as cold traffic right there. So that's it at the campaign level. So now at the ad set level, same deal. We want to keep going with the clean naming conventions. So in this case, what you're going to want to do, or what I recommend doing, I should say, is who it is that you are targeting right here, and then the placements that you are using. So I'm going to say entrepreneurs. There we go. Actually, I've already used this before, so I'm going to go ahead and select that. Now, if you are doing all placements, then name all placements. But as you saw from the title of the tutorial, we are focusing on the Instagram campaign. So I will say this is going to be the IG placements. Now, one thing I will mention is that when you're doing Instagram specific campaigns, I actually recommend doing two different campaigns, because what happens is the way ads appear in stories, it's not the same way you want them to appear inside of the news feed. And so I actually recommend doing two different campaigns, one for stories and then another for the feed placements. So actually, as a matter of fact, I'm going to expand upon this a little bit more right here and say IG feed placements, just like that. All right, for the conversion location, I do want it to be on the website. Sometimes it'll automatically select instant forms or instant forms in Messenger. So if that's the case, and if that's not what you want, make sure you are selecting website. But in this case, that is what I want, and it's already auto selected. Performance goal, maximize the number of conversions. Perfect. Data set, I'm going to go ahead and select my pixel right here that's already enabled with the conversions API. And then I'm going to select my lead event, and I will be selecting lead right here. Now, lead right here, this is one of Facebook's standard events. It's an event that already exists inside of Facebook. But in order to use this, you have to have the lead code installed on your pixel on your thank you page. If you do not know how to do that, I have a full tutorial on how to do that. You can go ahead and check it out in the corner right now of the video. If you're not using the lead standard event, you would have to create a custom conversion. So there's this example right here, mini webinar opt-in. So that is something I have used in the past, but I overall just prefer standard events. So I'm going to go ahead and select this one right here. So for either one, just to recap, because it's worth it, you need to do some legwork for one. You can't just automatically select one or the other. You either have to install the lead code, or you have to create a custom conversion yourself for that. Cost per result goal, we are going to leave that blank. And then here for the attribution window, for anything that is free, a free lead magnet, free webinar, free masterclass, free checklist, whatever it is, I recommend doing the 1-day attribution window. The one exception would be if you are driving to a free phone call, right? Because that's a bigger ask. Someone has to speak to you one-on-one. You're a complete stranger to them. And so in those instances, the 7-day attribution window actually does work better because people are going to take more time to make their decision on that. But everything else that is free, I certainly recommend the 1-day attribution window setting. You're going to get better results over the long run. Dynamic creative, you can ignore. This is actually going away, so it's not even going to be an option at some point in 2025. Select your budget. Start date, I always recommend going live in the morning unless there's an emergency, right? I understand emergencies can happen, but if there is no emergency, always have them go live in the morning, early in the morning. I like to do 12:30 a.m. Pacific time. That is the best way to get the most optimal results. And then on, budget scheduling, I would veer away from this. This is just a little bit more of an advanced strategy. So it's not something you have to worry about at this moment right here. So for the locations, I do need to edit this to add in Canada. There we go. And then for the targeting, I'm going to keep it at Advantage Plus. If you don't know the difference between the Advantage Plus and the original audience settings, I also have a full video tutorial on that. So you can go ahead and check it out in the upper right corner of this video. But in this instance, I am going to stick with Advantage Plus. The only thing I'm going to do here is add in the interest of entrepreneurship. Actually, that's the one I wanted right there. Actually, entrepreneurship, the interest, not the job titles. I'm going to get rid of this one right here. And I do want to modify my age range. I mean, really for me, typically no one in their 20s is going to buy for me. So I want people to be at least 30 years old. And in most cases, people who are above 60 are not going to buy for me either. So I'm going to narrow that down to 30 and 59. Now, I also want to make sure that I'm excluding the right people after someone has opted into my free masterclass. I don't want them to keep seeing the same ad over and over again. Otherwise, they're just going to get annoyed, and I'm also going to be wasting money on pointless impressions. So over here, I'm going to make sure that I exclude all of my leads. Now, again, you have to create this in order to select this exclusion. So let me quickly walk you through where and how to do that. You want to click on the hamburger menu there on the left, go over to audiences right here. And then once this opens up, you can click on create audience, custom audience, website, next, then select the drop-down menu right here, select lead. This is from events. Now, again, this is assuming you've already installed that lead code for the lead standard event. If you have not done that, this is not going to work. So check out that video that I mentioned earlier, and then you want to choose the retention. I typically like to just do the max, which is 180 days, but if it makes sense for you to do 100 days or 10 days, whatever it is, you get to choose. But like I said, typically I just do the max of 180 days, and then I'm going to call this all leads 180 days. There we go. However, I'm not going to save this myself. As you can see, I already have this created right there. I just wanted to walk through this as an example to show you as part of the tutorial in order to add that exclusion. And then here, again, minimum age it's kind of weird. So obviously over here, down here, I selected 30 to 59, but for the minimum age, the highest you can go is 25. So I just go ahead and select that right there. Okay, cool. So up to this point, everything that we've done is universal for whatever platform you end up running them on, Facebook or Instagram. It does not matter. What we've done here is the same for both. It's not until we get to the bottom right here for the placements that it now matters where, for creating a campaign specifically for Instagram. So we do want to hit edit right here for the Advantage Plus placements. And then we want to click on manual placements. And then down here, we're just going to, if you want to do the long way, you can select all these drop down menus and then deselect all the ones that are not Instagram. But like I said, that's the long way of doing it. The fast way is that you use the check marks up here. Obviously here we're trying to create an Instagram campaign. So I'm just going to deselect Messenger, Audience, and Facebook. And like I mentioned earlier, if you're doing an Instagram specific campaign, I recommend doing 2 campaigns, one for the feed placements and then another for stories placements. So let's do the feed placements on this one right now, which means as for this moment, I'm going to get rid of stories and reels. Stories and reels, I kind of keep them in the same category. So I know I said 1 campaign for stories placements, but it's really for both. But either way, I'm going to deselect all of these right here, and we'll create a separate campaign for that. That means that gives us the Instagram feed, the Instagram profile feed, Instagram Explorer, and Instagram Explorer Home is what we have left right here. So that is how you create it specifically for the Instagram platform. Now we get to the ad level. In terms of the naming convention, I like to give it the overall hook of the ad, or like what's the overall message I'm trying to convey, and then what type of creative am I using, and what image is it, or what video is it. So image 1, image 2, video 1, video 2, all that kind of stuff. Here, I'm just doing a sample ad. So I'm just gonna put a sample right here. Obviously, that wouldn't be like an actual hook for an actual ad. And then I'll just call this image 1. So we have skipped or completed that part. And then I'm going to keep scrolling down right here. There are several things that you do want to be aware of. Sometimes, although not always, it will automatically select Advantage Plus catalog ads. If you're not doing e-commerce, then you don't want to be doing that. So you want to click on manual upload. And then right here, you want to input your URL. Let me go ahead and grab that URL in another window that I have open right here. So I'm going to go ahead and drop that right there. Perfect. So now I want to hit Sub Creative. This part is new in terms of the Facebook ads interface. They've made some changes here. Traditionally, you would have seen full boxes here for your headline and ad copy, and then another section for your image. Now it's all just this one drop down menu. So let me go ahead and click on this. I'll do an image ad for this one. So it's going to first and foremost ask me for site links. Site links as of this moment are only applicable to Facebook. I don't think it's going to stay that way forever. So certainly be on the lookout for that announcement. For Instagram ads wise, we can just completely ignore this and not worry about this. But like I said, won't be surprised if at some point in 2025, it will be a feature for Instagram ads. So then in that case, we want to go to the text. Again, I'm just doing a sample ad right now to keep things quick and simple. So this, obviously you'd be putting real text right there. And then I'm going to also go down to the headline and say sample headline. There we go. Now, it does give you the option to have AI generate some additional variations for you. I do not recommend doing this. I've never seen anything really good come out of this. It's not to say that it will always be lousy like this, but they'll certainly improve it as time goes on. So maybe at some point in the future, I will reverse my recommendation. But as of right now, just ignore that. Don't enable any of those options. And then for the call to action, I typically switch between learn more and sign up. One of those two. It's really not going to make that big of a difference between one or the other. So don't spend too much time in terms of which one you want to select. Just make it a quick decision. Then I'm going to hit next right here, and I will choose my image. I already have some in here from past campaigns. So let me go ahead and choose. Where's the one I'm specifically looking for? I actually don't see the one I'm specifically looking for. Here we go. Actually, I had to scroll further down. So let me go ahead and select this one right here. Now for this image right here, it is in a 1:1 or 1080 by 1080 aspect ratio. There's only 2 aspect ratios you should be using on Instagram, either 1:1 or 4:5. So let me quickly talk about that in just a second. Before I kind of get to that point, there's also this option to have AI generated versions of the image that you're using. So right now it's analyzing my image that I uploaded in creating AI generated versions. I would avoid this for now. I think it's an interesting feature. I would only use this feature though if you have some sort of like a product image, like you're selling sunglasses and you have a picture of that, and then it's gonna create cool variations of those sunglasses and different scenery. For everything else though, I don't really see at any point in the future this being useful. If you're feeling risky, you can go ahead and gamble on it a little bit. But, I think for the most part, this was not applicable to really the vast majority of businesses. So I'm going to click on skip and continue. And then for the enhancements, I'm going to make sure I click on this because I have to hide all the enhancements. A lot of people get here like, oh, there's only one enhancement and it's turned off, so I'm good. But no, you want to make sure you scroll down, click on other active enhancements. And then the one you for sure want to delete is text improvements. It's going to make your text look super weird. Sometimes your headlines will be your primary text. Your primary text will be your headline. It just looks really nasty. So I don't recommend doing that. And then I'm going to hit done. But going back a little bit, I stress for Instagram, there's only 2 types of aspect ratios you should be using, 1:1 or 4:5. So if you have a Canva account, either free or paid, you can go ahead and do that. So if you are in Canva, they have this convenient feature of just immediately selecting Instagram post, square, 1080 by 1080 aspect ratio. So you can go ahead and select it that way. And then you start editing it like this, and you are off to the races. But if I want to do 4:5, that's not one of their pre-existing aspect ratios. So in order to do that, you go to create design, custom size, and a 4:5 aspect ratio is going to be 1080 by 1350. And then create new design, and then beautiful, there it is, a 4:5 aspect ratio. Now, really quick, you might be wondering, why am I recommending strictly 1:1 or 4:5 aspect ratio? And it's for a couple of different reasons. One, it's going to occupy more real estate in the feed. If you choose landscape, it's going to be a smaller ad, which means when people see it, it's going to show, content above and below your ad. It'll be more distracting and people may not be looking at your ad. So you want to maximize your real estate, which is why actually between these 2 options, I actually prefer the 4:5. Now I know I selected a 1:1 in the example I just uploaded, but that's just an example. If this was a real campaign I was putting together right now, I certainly would be going with the 4:5 aspect ratio because it's even bigger than the 1:1. It's the same width, but it's actually higher, so it occupies more real estate. And so those are the reasons why you want to be going with one of those 2 aspect ratios. And like I said, my favorite is the 4:5 overall. Okay, back at the campaign. So that's the example right there. And then at this point, we are ready to go. We just want to do one final check, particularly do a double check on the enhancements, simply because it's very easy for them to auto turn on an enhancement that you may have wanted off. But I can see here that the text improvements one is still under one of the turned off enhancements right there. The other thing you want to be aware of or be careful with is that they also have been automatically adding catalogs. You would see that right here beneath site links. Now, I don't have a catalog set up on my Facebook pages, which is why I don't have that issue. But if you ever have created a catalog on your Facebook page and you don't want it to be showing in your ads, make sure to check that right here. And then if it says catalog, and then if there's a number greater than 0, it's showing your catalog items. So in order to get rid of that, you just hit edit. And again, I don't have a catalog connected, so that option isn't showing, but there'd be a drop down menu right here. You want to just switch it to not connected, and then your catalog items will go away. Okay, cool. So this is ready to publish, obviously assuming this was a real ad with real copy and all that kind of stuff. But I mentioned earlier that when you're doing Instagram, you want to do 2 placements. You want to do the feed placements like we have created right here, and then you also want to do stories placements. So once this is already published, I'm not going to publish this campaign right now, so let's just pretend that it's published. Then at that point, you want to create your other one for the stories placement and the reels placement. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. I'm going to duplicate this. There we go. And then I'm going to switch this to stories placement. That way it's very clear which campaign is which. All right. Then everything else can stay the same. The only thing I am changing right here is going to be the stories and reels. I'm going to select this right here. Now, when you select stories and reels, it's also going to select Facebook and Messenger. That's not what we're doing. It's not what we're focusing on in this video. So what you then want to do is then go back up here and then deselect Messenger and then deselect Facebook. All right. So it's a little bit of a two-step process, very easy to miss. And then also we want to now deselect all the feed placements. Our other campaign that we just created a second ago, that one's for the feed placements. This one's going to be for stories and reels. So I'm going to deselect this. And now I want to just double check everything, that the only thing selected right now are going to be stories. And so actually I can see down here that the Instagram search results is still auto selected. So I want to get rid of that as well. So now stories and reels, that's perfect. That's all I want to be appearing in for this campaign specifically. And then once I go to the ad level, I want to make sure I'm selecting something that is specific to stories and reels. So I'm going to go with the 9:16 aspect ratio. And also ideally you want to go with a video. Yes, you can do a text-based ad for a story or reel, but it's really not going to get any kind of traction for you. So you really want to make sure that you are going with a video. In this case, I'm going to hit delete right here, add media, add video. I'm going to jump over to the media right here, see all, and I do have some previous vertical videos that I've created here in the past, or actually this is probably a better example right here, because this is kind of more native to the way it looks in the stories, right? It almost looks like an organic post. So let me quickly run this as an example. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but you'll see what I'm doing here. Hey, if you've been having trouble getting Facebook ads to work for you, it's likely for one of two reasons. Either A, you're using the wrong. All right, cool. So I just held up my phone, I recorded it. I have the sound on sticker, which is something you very commonly see when people are doing organic stories. I have my text above and below just to add additional context. So this looks and feels like a real post that you would see inside of the stories or reels placement. So perfect. I'm going to go ahead and click next. All right. The text improvements obviously wouldn't be selected here because there is no text for a story, or like I said, in most cases, there's no text for a story. Theoretically, you could add it, but I don't recommend it. And now I can see the previews right here for it. It looks great. That's exactly obviously how I want it to be looking inside the stories and reels placement. The other option too, so you can do this style, which is kind of the simplest way you can create a story, but you can get a little bit fancier as well. So let me show you an example of that, of a more edited and highly polished video. So let me go back up here to the creative, find my spot, perfect, delete. Media. You can do a video like this. Again, I won't play the whole thing. Are you a mortgage lender looking to 3x your sales over the next 90 days without having to rely on cold calling? If you're anything... All right, so as you can see, this one, a lot more editing work went into this. So if you're asking, well, which one should I do? Should I do the more basic one that looks like an organic post, or this one that is clearly very edited? And I would say run both, see which one works best, and then lean into the one that works best. It is that simple right there. All right, click done and done. And then again, assuming this was a real campaign that I actually wanted to publish right now, I would go ahead and publish that. And at that point, I am set. I have my Instagram feed placements campaign. I have my stories placements campaign. So now I am ready to dominate the Instagram platform in 2025 with some really good ads. Now, one thing I will finally want to stress when it comes to Instagram ad campaigns is that the creative on Instagram is so much more important on Instagram than it is on Facebook. That's not to say that copy is not important and also that creative is not important over on Facebook. It's just simply to say, as you all probably know, it's a very visual platform. So you're visual, you're creative, it is going to be a lot more important to put time and effort into that. And so using very vibrant colors, something that's bright, is going to be very important. And also if you're doing videos, you want to make sure that it's something that catches people's eyes. So even if you're doing the basic video, make sure there's some movement on that video. Otherwise, people are going to quickly scroll by it and just completely ignore it. So keep these things in mind. Keep in mind what people like to see in Instagram platform organically and what works organically, and then leverage that information to put together creatives that you can run as ads. All right, so there you have it, an end-to-end tutorial on how to create Instagram ad campaigns that will convert in 2025. I hope you found this useful, but as always, if you have any questions about anything that I covered on this video, just go ahead and let me know in the comments below, and I'll be sure to get back to you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and best of luck in 2025.